when it comes to doing your nails, the prep stage is really important. And the first thing we're going to do is deal with the cuticle area here. So I've got some of the MYLEE cuticle remover, which has a lovely scent from having the peppermint oil in. And all you're going to want to do with this is squeeze a little bit out and pop that around your cuticle. You're then going to leave that to sit on there for about a minute, just to let it take action. You don't want to leave it on too long, a minute should be enough. And while I'm letting that sit there, we've got two different things we can use, tools wise, for our cuticles. So we've got the metal cuticle pusher that I've got here. Now this is quite a sharp tool, this is the MYLEE tool. Please be careful using this, not only on the skin of your cuticles, but also on your nail plate. The last thing we want to be doing is digging that into our nail plate when we're trying to remove any cuticle from the area and causing damage. So your other option is what's commonly known as an orange wood stick. So this is a much gentler tool, it's made of wood, it's not quite as severe as the metal. So this is what I'm going to use today. So now we've let our remover sit for a little while, I'm just going to take the orange wood stick and I'm just going to gently push the cuticle. We don't want to be pushing under the skin, we don't want to be being forceful at all with this. We're just gently pushing along, making sure that any cuticle, which is the dry skin that you get on the nail plate around this area, not this piece of skin, this is working on the nail plate to remove any dead cuticle. I'm going to take that right round, down into the sides, and make sure we've got all of that nice and clean and any dead skin is removed. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a nice surface for your products to attach. So clean that off there, and then just a little bit of prep and wipe from MYLEE and give that a good clean. So now we've dealt with our cuticles, we want to prepare the nail plate. And what I'm going to use to do that is I'm going to use the MYLEE 100 to 180 grit file. So the smaller the number, the smoother the surface. So the 100 side, the yellow side, is a lot smoother than the 180 side, which is quite a bit rougher. So for prepping your nails, you only really need the 180 side, to be honest with you. And all we're going to do with that is we're just going to slightly rough up the nail plate. So not applying pressure, and just see how that's removing the shine. And all we're doing is creating a nice surface for our base coat to stick to when we move on to that part of the process. So just give that around the cuticles. Anywhere you're going to want to put your gel, you want to have that gentle etching into the surface of the nail plate. You can do this with a buffer if you feel like that's enough. Personally, I prefer to use a file and get a really good etch in there. But just remember, be gentle. You don't want to cause any damage to your nail plate. If anything starts feeling hot or you're getting discomfort or redness, then stop. You don't need to be filing that hard. So I'm pretty happy that I've covered all of the nail plate there with my file. So again, with your MYLEE Prep and Wipe solution, give everything a good clean, remove any dust. So I've got our nicely prepped little nail here, and this video we are going to be using nail forms. So these are the ones I'm using. I've got them in two different shapes, and we've got the sort of tapered square shape here, which you can see if I hold it like that does have quite a high apex. Now my nails are quite flat. If I was to put that on there, I'm going to get quite a big thick nail, which is fine. Some people like that look, sometimes I like it personally. However, what I do prefer at the moment, and because I tend to go for a stiletto or almond shaped nail, is I prefer to use the stiletto tips. So if I pick one of these out, get the right size that I'm going to use, and show you just these two forms in comparison. So you can see they do still have a decent size apex, but this one's got quite a dramatic slope up, whereas this one's more gradual. So if I show you this one on my nail, it looks a little bit less dramatic. So that's what I'm going to use today. So I've already sized up the form I want to use. When you're sizing your forms, try a couple of different ones on. So the size bigger that I've chosen, if I pop this on here, that is way too big. It's just going to sit flat against my nails. There's no gap there unless I hold it right up for your gel to go in. So you need to have a gap for the product to go in to form the nail. This is no good. It's not a press on. We don't want it like that. It's also too wide around the sides, way too big for the cuticle. Now you can trim this. You can cut this to shape your cuticle. You can just grab a pair of scissors and take bits off that form. Not too much, because you're going to start messing with the structure and the shape that it's going to try and build in there. But you can just take very little edge off there, and you can get a neater fit to keep your cuticle. It's still too big, this one, but now you can see that would actually fit where the cuticle's concerned on my nail. So we don't need that one. And the other issue that you may sometimes have is if you get one that's too small. So this one's not obviously too small, but if I look at where this is coming down, if I was to apply product here, because I'm having to press on this to get it to fit my nail, when I press down to do the same thing with the gel inside, all that gel is just going to come straight out the sides. You can see where my nail's going white a little bit on the surface because I'm having to press that to fit. All your gel's going to seep out, and you're not going to have a nice smooth finish. You're also going to have a nail that's thin at the sides because all the product seeped away, and that's not going to be a strong nail. So we're going to use this one right in the middle that fits much better. It even fits better on the cuticle without me doing any work to customise that. Nice on the side walls. If I turn my finger sideways, it's giving us a nice little well on the top here for the polygel to go into. So I've got my polygels here. So I've got all three colours. We've got the clear, perfect pink, and the nearly nude. I'm going to use the nearly nude for this video. What I've also got is the MYLEE slip solution. I have got a little dapping dish to pop the slip solution in. All these products, including this little guy, are listed down in the description below. And I've got the MYLEE Polygel Gel Tool, which is a brush on one end and a spatula on the other. So before we dive into the polygel and start having fun with that, we need to put a base coat on this nail. So I'm going to use the MYLEE My Gel base coat, and I'm just going to get a nice small amount on the brush. You want coverage, but you want it thin. And when I'm applying any brush on product to my nail, like a polish or a base coat or a top coat, I will start a little bit away from the cuticle and just wiggle that brush up towards my skin but not touching, and then bring it down and round the sides of the nail. And that for me is the easiest way to get a nice neat finish without touching the skin. So once that base coat's applied, we can pop that nail in the lamp for 60 seconds. Okay, so now our base coat's cured, we can start having some fun with our polygel. So we'll pop that away because we don't need that anymore. And grab your polygel, grab your form, your brush. I'm going to pop some of that slip solution into our little dish. You can always add more in there, so don't worry if you've not got quite enough. And we are going to, I'm so excited, my hands are going everywhere. So pop the cap off our polygel, and we're going to squeeze out about a small pea-sized amount. We'll take our file and pop that off the spatula into our gel form. Make sure you're keeping the end of your spatula clean. And then with the brush end of your tool into the slip solution, give it a good dab round. Make sure you've got rid of any air bubbles. And then the excess liquid needs to come off the brush. If you go straight into this polygel with a sopping wet brush, you're going to end up with a sticky slimy mess. So wipe the excess off and then drain the excess liquid out of the brush. Now you can see while I've been talking, that little piece of gel is just stayed where I've put it. It's not going anywhere, no matter what I do with it. Fantastic product to work with because you've got all the time you need to form the nail how you want it. So we're going to start pushing this product up the inside of the form, like so. Take it over onto your side walls. So what you're doing is you're building the nail inside the form. Make sure you've got that up the side walls. Your cuticle area needs to be nice and thin. So turn your form round and just pull that along up the form. Now again, as I usually do, I'm going for a sort of almondy oval shaped nail, so I have done as much of that shaping as I can in the form, which will help because I'll need less filing at the end. So once you've done that, you're going to turn your form over, get hold of it by the end. These have got little handy tabs on, which is brilliant. And when I apply this, I'm not going to go straight in by my cuticle, simply because if I go in and do that and I have any of the gel pop out from under here, I'm going to have a great big mess that I'm going to struggle to clean up. I'm going to have a load of filing to do at the end. It's just not the best way to apply these. If you are expert in these, you're really precise, you know what you're doing and you can do that, great. But I'm not, I'll be honest. This is only my second time using these particular forms. So I'm going to show you how I apply these, and I find it's a little bit easier. So I'm going to apply slightly away from the cuticle. Pop the cuticle end down first, and I'm going to gently press that onto the nail, not too firm because you don't want to squeeze all of the product out the side. You can see there is a little bit coming out. That does naturally happen. Just gently press that down and then hold onto the form and flip your nail over. So see here, you've got a little bulge of product, and you're not going to want to cure it like that because you're going to have a great big nasty thick underside of the nail. So using your brush, keeping it damp with the slip solution, you just want to go under there and reshape that nail underneath. Any little excess bits, just flip them out to the sides, get rid of them. Remove those, you don't want them. Don't push down and make this really thin, but do just form yourself a nice little well underneath. So that slipped down slightly towards my cuticle. I'm going to very gently move that forwards again. And then where we've had gel seep out, just want to check over the top as well that you haven't gone on at a slight angle like I have. Grab an orange wood sticky if you've got quite a lot of excess, and just bring any of those bits off. And then what you can also do is damp brush, just go back over the edges, and then you're getting everything relatively smooth. So keep checking that little form, just gently guide it, make sure it's straight. Make sure you're nice and smooth underneath. Don't go too thin because you don't want a big chunk of missing nail. You can add more product if you do need to, so if you cure this and think I've gone far too thin there, you can add a little bit more, and you can actually see that I have taken too much away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully grab a little bit of gel. You can do this after curing if you prefer. I'm going to be brave, I'm going to add it in now. Just Just keep nudging that form back where you want it to go. I'm just going to guide that little extra bit of gel down onto the nail, blend it in. I've got a little bit of excess on the side. I'm not massively concerned about that. And that, for me, double checking that I've done the side walls and I've not got product sat on my nail that's going to cure there, on my skin, on the side walls of my finger. Cuticle's nice and clean, I haven't got any product there. That's ready to go in the lamp now for its first 60-second cure. So once that's cured, bring it out of the lamp, and then we're going to remove this form. So give it a little rock, a little squeeze, and it'll just pop off and leave you a nail. Now we've got a little ridge of product here, we've got a gap. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how to get rid of that gap, how to get rid of that ridge. And this is the same process you would use if you were infilling the nails. So if your nails have been on for a while and they've grown forward a little bit, they've grown out, you want to infill this little space here. So to do that, first of all, this is going to be nice and smooth and shiny. You're not going to have a tacky coat on the top. You will on the underside. So we are going to get our prep and wipe solution, and we are going to give this nail a good cleanse. And then if we move these bits out of the way, because it's going to get dusty, I'm going to take our MYLEE 100 to 180 grit file. These are the new half moon files, so the lower the number, the higher the grit, so the more rough the file is. So the 100 side, the pink side, is rougher than the 180 side, the yellow side. Either will work for this stage. Polygel, although it's nice and strong and rigid, it does file very easily. So that's something to be mindful of, because you don't want to file too much off. So what I'm going to do here is, looking down at my nail, I can see I've got a little bit here that I want to get rid of. So I want to tidy up the free edge. So just retaining that nice almond oval shape, you can just going side to side, keeping things equal. File our free edge. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to file again at the end. Then I'm going to approach these side walls where I've got a little bit of excess product. When you're doing your side walls, you don't want to be filing straight down in towards your finger. You want to be slightly tilted over the nail. So just like that, and you can see how quickly that's coming off. Take your time with this. Less likely to cut yourself, and you're more likely to get the shape you're happy with if you take your time. So we'll just pop that round the other side and do the same, just angling slightly over the top of the nail. Check you're happy with your shape of your free edge. And then you're going to smooth down this little ridge here. So for your cuticle area, again, not coming down onto the nail, not coming down onto the finger, over the top is where you want to angle your file. And you can see I'm just taking that little tiny lip of product back off, making sure I've not got any bits of product that have escaped in towards the cuticle and skin. The cuticle area, I should say. And then once we've done that and got that nice and tidy, because I have got a nice smooth shiny surface on the top of here, I am going to use the smoother side of the file, the 180 side, and I'm just going to buff that shine back off the top. Just gently. You have still got quite a thin nail here, and it's not fully balanced because we haven't worked around the cuticle area. So just gently buffing that smooth, shiny surface, almost similar to when we did the prep, and we wanted to take off the shiny surface, and etch the nail plate. And just keep going until you've got all of that shine away. Making sure you've got right down into the sides. And then you've got that lovely matte, slightly edged surface for you to work back on top of. Okay, so remove any filing dust with your prep and wipe. Once we've removed all the dust from that nail, we are going to sort out this little area here. Now it is quite a nice shape here. You can see we've got the apex, so we've got a smooth transition up from the cuticle, curving up and back down towards the tip of the nail. We've got a nice shape that's been formed for us by the form. So we've got a nice dome shape over the top of the nail, which is brilliant. So we've got a pretty good structure there already from the jewel form doing most of the work for us. So all we're going to need to do is just add a little bit here to finish this nail off. So grab your polygel, your tool and your slip, and we're just going to get here a much smaller blob of gel. We're going to apply this a little bit away from the cuticle again. Wipe off that spatula, get the brush in a nice workable state, and then we're going to push this little blob of polygel back down towards the cuticle, towards the skin, but not touching. And then gradually work that round, down the sides, down onto the side walls of your nail. Just keep pulling that gel down where you want it to go, making sure it's not sticking into your side walls. Keeping the top surface nice and smooth, remembering to keep that curve. And again, this takes a little bit of getting used to, a little bit of playing around. The more work you do here, the less work you've got to do with your file at the end. And once you've got a nice set of nails on, you can keep infilling them with the polygel. So if you get a nice shape now, it's going to save you time in the future as well. So just pulling that back down towards the free edge. Checking those side walls as you go. I mean, you can file these obviously when they're cured to tidy them up, but the less filing you need to do knee skin in particular, the better. So I look down the barrel of the nail and look at the shape. Just want to make sure that we've got a nice, smooth, even, equal dome shape. A nice curve along the top of the nail from side to side as well as from back to front of the nail. So take your time, keep working the product where you want it to go. Making sure your brush stays nice and slippy. Slippy, not sticky. And once you're happy with that shape, and you're happy that you've got nice and close to your cuticles with the product, and see I'm just pushing a little bit further back there as well because I feel like this corner needed a little bit more. You can again, if you find that you haven't applied enough, I feel like I could do with a little bit more on the ends of a nail. So you can get another little bit of the polygel. And you can just put it in there. Giving it some lovely little ears there. And you can just blend that product back into the nail that you're working on. Better to have a little bit too much because you can easily remove any excess. So you can see now the end of my nail's looking a little bit more equal. The excess that's come under there, I'm just going to grab my spatula. I'm going to flip any of that and away. And yeah, we're getting a shape now that I'm pretty pleased with. Make sure your apex isn't coming too far forward. You don't want all your curve here and a load of flat here. It needs to be a gradual. You can pull this back if you need to. So I am showing you this in real time, just so you can see that it isn't a slow process, but it's not the quickest in the world, and you are better off, particularly when you're first applying the enhancement, taking that extra little bit of time with the shaping. So once I'm happy with that, that can go in the lamp for a 60-second cure. Okay, so now that that nail is cured, we can pop away our polygel slip band tool, and that's how it looks at the moment. So I'm going to give that a cleanse. So this has got a bit of a sticky layer on it now, ever so slightly. Again, this should still be cured. If it's sticky, if it's soft, and when you're touching it you're getting dips in the nail, you need to pop that nail back in the lamp. It's not fully cured. So again, with the MYLEE nail prep and polish wipe solution, give that nail a good cleanse. And then we will do our finish filing. So using the MYLEE 100 to 180 grit half moon file, I'm going to use the 100 side, and see I've got a little bit of a lumpy side wall here. So I'm not going to be pressing in to my skin. I'm just going to be working on this area here, just to have that so it's coming straight out of my nail, straight out of my natural nail. Same on the other side. Just making sure that's nice and straight. Underneath, give it a little file, not too much, just to make sure that you're nice and smooth under there. The first few times you use these, I'm quite new to using these, you possibly will end up with the surface underneath being a little bit lumpy. It's not the end of the world, to be honest with you. You don't want them super thick. You can get the corner of your file if you've got any edges like I have there, and you can just support in the nail with your fingers, go in and smooth that surface off a little. Just if you've got any little bits under there that are going to bother you, don't start picking at them and messing with your nail. That's when you'll end up breaking things. But as someone who bites their nails, I know that if I left those little bits under there, I would have a nibble. So, like I say, you can do whatever work you want underneath. Just make sure you're supporting the nail. If you're e-file trained, then you can go in and you can tidy that up with an e-file. I'm not, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be happy with what I've got. So the top of the nail is looking pretty good to me so far. I'm just giving a little definition to the free edge, just refining that shape. Again, you can even be using the yellow side of the file, the smoother side of the file to do this. With my side walls, I don't want to be coming down into the nail. Just like we did earlier, I'm going to angle this slightly over the top and tidy those. Doesn't really matter if you use the curvy end or the flat end of the nail file to do this, whatever you are comfortable with. Make sure you're working on both sides, not just the one, so that you're getting a nice, even, symmetrical finish. And then checking down the barrel of the nail, we just want to make sure we've got a nice curve over the top. So I look directly down the nail, pointing it at myself, and then I'll use the file towards myself, just to make sure that I've got a nice even thickness at the free edge. You don't want to be filing these super thin, because remember, this is the extension. This is purely made up of gel, so you don't want to be taking this really thin, because then it's going to become brittle and weak and you're going to have breakage. And then we also can curve the file over the top, creating that nice dome shape on the nail. So like I've said previously, I often file in all sorts of different orders. A lot of people have a routine that they stick to strictly. I just wing it as I'm going along, to be honest, whichever bit I fancy filing first. The key with polygel is to take your time, be gentle. You don't need to apply a lot of pressure when you're filing. And just keep going back and forth between the areas of your nail that you want to tidy up. So when it comes to the cuticle area, which is the area that a lot of people struggle with filing, the cuticle and the sidewalls do tend to be tricky, because you want to be nice and neat and accurate, but you don't want to be coming in contact with your skin. So take your file. The curved end probably is better for this part. And again, you don't want to be coming straight down. At that angle, you want to be curved onto the nail and using a curving motion over the top of the nail around the cuticle. You can get a nice shape and a nice flush finish. And just blend that product down in towards the cuticle area. Come back over the top of the apex. Make sure that's all nice and smooth. But again, you can see we've still got that shape coming out from the back of the nail to the front, and we've got this nice curve over the top here. So it doesn't take a great deal to shape up your nail with polygel. You can just keep working, slow and steady. Don't just go in and start really hacking away at this product, because you'd be surprised how quickly you can go through polygel. It really is that soft when using a file, which is great because it makes things easier. But it does mean you need to have a little bit more care when you're working with it. And then once we're happy with the shape, I do like to keep going back round, looking at my finger from all different angles, making sure I'm happy with the shape of the free edge, making sure I'm happy with how the nail looks from the top when I'm looking down it. And again, if you put in the work in here, when you're first applying a set of extensions, you're going to have a nice nail to work with in the future. When the nail grows out, because you've got this nice transition, you're not going to have a big ridge when you have a little gap by the cuticle, and it's going to be easy to infill the nail using your polygel products. And it's also going to be easier and much nicer to paint if you want to paint your nails or put any nail art on them, anything you want to do with them. So just gradually keep working away with that file until you're happy. Once you're happy with the general shaping, and I'm pretty happy with how that one's come out there, we're going to grab a white block and just refine the surface of the nail. Make it nice and smooth. We want it smooth but not buffed shiny, because we are still going to be applying a top coat or colour on here, and that does need something to grip onto. Come round your edges, make sure you've got no little bits on there that are going to snag. And then I'm going to grab our prep and wipe, and then with our prep and wipe, move these bits out of the way because we don't need them anymore. Give the nail a good cleanse over the top, underneath, make sure we've got rid of all the bits of dust and things on there. And then once we're happy with that, we can go in with our top coat. I'm using the MYLEE No Wipe top coat, that's the one I prefer. Lovely glossy finish, no sticky layer to wipe off at the end. And the same way I apply base coat, start a little bit away from the cuticle and wiggle that brush back up towards the skin, going close to but not touching, and sweep that round, down into your side walls, and then down the rest of the nail. If you do hit your cuticle a little bit like I have there, you can grab your brush end of your tool and a little bit of slip solution or a little bit of remover, and just using the very end of your brush, just swipe that little bit of excess polish away, or excess top coat away in this case. That works when you paint your nails as well. You can use remover, you can use prep and wipe, just a little bit on the brush, just to make sure that you've got your cuticle area nice and neat. So I'm fairly happy with that. I'm going to pop that in the lamp. So now that nail's cured, we've got a nice shiny top coat. We can grab our MYLEE nail and cuticle oil. This one has sweet almond oil in, so it smells absolutely lovely. Pop a little drop of that in the cuticle area, massage it into the nail, and there you have it. Polygel nail created using jewel forms. I hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions, or maybe haven't explained anything too clearly, please do join the conversation down in the comment section below. Give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and head over to the MYLEE My Look Facebook page. Join the conversation over there, meet the other ambassadors and other MYLEE nail enthusiasts. We've also got a weekly challenge running where we're picking a piece of artwork that inspires us and recreating either the artwork on our nails or a look inspired by that artwork. So lots of fun. Would love to see you join in. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.